Hey everyone, Sam Hooker in here, and today is going to be the last video of this year's Star Wars month. Yeah, it's been a bit of a wild ride, and I've taken you all on some great journeys into the Star Wars universe this month, but all things come to an end, you know? Today, I thought we'd end Star Wars month 2023 with a review of my favourite original trilogy Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Now, there was no way I wasn't going to do a review of this movie since this year marks 40 years since the release of Return of the Jedi in 1983. Now that is just amazing. That is just absolutely incredible. It kind of makes me wish I did Star Wars month in 2020 to celebrate the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back, but, you know. So we actually start off in space, and it turns out the Galactic Empire is creating a second Death Star. That, like, you remember that big battle station from Episode 4 that ended up being destroyed? Yeah, well, they're building a second one. They're building a second Death Star. And we end up on Tatooine at the palace of Crime Lord Jabba the Hutt, who is actually in possession of the still carbonite-frozen Han Solo, and newly appointed Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker hands over ownership of C-3PO and R2-D2 to Jabba, and then some sort of bounty hunter arrives, trying to buy Solo back, but then the bounty hunter sneaks in and basically frees Han from the carbonite. Turns out the bounty hunter is Princess Leia in disguise, but Jabba anticipated this, and they end up all captured. And of course, Chewbacca is there as well, pretending to be Leia's prisoner. And of course, Luke comes around to save the day, and Jabba tries to feed him to the Rancor. That doesn't go too well. And so Jabba sentences them all to execution by chucking them into the Great Pit of Carkoon, nesting place of the Sarlacc, which is basically this massive monster in a hole with teeth. But thankfully, R2 manages to give Luke his new green lightsaber. This is actually the first time we get to see a green lightsaber in Star Wars history. And basically, a massive fight ensues over the Sarlacc, with Boba Fett even getting in on the action. But of course, Han is still a bit blind from being in the carbonite for so long. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's possible. But he basically accidentally whacks Boba Fett in the back, and his jetpack then sends him flying into Jabba's barge, and then he just rolls down into the Sarlacc. And that's the end of Boba Fett. For a while, anyway. Yeah. They eventually escape, and Leia even manages to kill Jabba by strangling him to death with a chain that he had placed her on when he made her his slave. So thankfully, Leia managed to get her revenge on Jabba, and they eventually manage to escape. And Luke then travels back to the Dagobah system to finish his training with Yoda, but he's unfortunately arrived too late. Yoda is very unwell, and he's actually dying. He has lived for over 900 years, so that makes sense. Luke was there when Yoda finally passed on and became one with the Force. Before that, Yoda told Luke that in order to become a true Jedi, he needs to face Vader again. And he basically confirmed that Vader is Luke's father. And Luke also has a talk with the spirit of Obi-Wan about what Anakin was like and how he became Vader. And also the confirmation, he also asked about another Skywalker that Yoda mentioned of just before he died. He eventually found out that it was Leia. Leia is Luke's sister, which honestly had to be a massive shock. And so they all rendezvous with the Rebel fleet, who find out about the Empire's second Death Star over the forest moon of Endor. But unfortunately, it's protected by a shield generator on the moon. So Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, and the droids head down to the surface to destroy the generator, while Lando Calrissian leads the Rebel fleet in an attack on the Death Star. And they do run into a bit of bother with a few scout troopers and the Ewoks, who actually mistake C-3PO for a god, even though it's against his programming to impersonate a deity. Luke eventually realizes that he's putting the team in danger, and he leaves to face Vader alone, surrendering himself, and Vader then brings him before the Emperor Palpatine. The Emperor was then trying to persuade Luke to take his place at his side and become a Sith like his father did. But it turns out even though the Death Star didn't look finished, it was finished. It was actually complete. It was fully functional. Like, it looks like there's parts missing, but it's fully functional. It was made to look like that. So in the words of Admiral Akbar, it was a trap. Love that. Luke could then see the Rebel fleet losing badly, and in a moment of weakness, attempts to strike down the Emperor in anger, only for Vader to stop him, and then a final duel between Luke and Vader commences, with Luke trying so much to resist the temptation to fight him, as he does not want to hurt and as he does not want to kill his own father. But eventually, Vader coaxes Luke enough by threatening to turn Leia to the dark side. That was a mistake, as Luke basically went full-on beast mode then, and overpowered Vader and eventually sliced off his arm. Yeah, that's the second time in Anakin's life he's had his arm sliced off. But Luke then realizes what he was becoming, and after realizing that Vader's hand is also cybernetic as well as his own, Luke stands his ground. He tosses away his lightsaber and refuses to turn to the dark side, proclaiming himself a Jedi like his father before him. But sadly, the Emperor doesn't take that very well, and Palpatine then tries to destroy Luke with a barrage of Force lightning. And Luke is in obvious pain and suffering, and it's clear that he is going to be killed if the Emperor doesn't stop. Vader just stood there watching his son in undeniable pain. But then that reawakened the light within him. Darth Vader was dead, and Anakin Skywalker was reborn. And he tossed the Emperor down a reactor shaft, sacrificing his life in the process. And then Luke tried to take him to the shuttle to save him, but Vader knew that he doesn't have long left, and so he asked Luke to take the mask off. And so he did. And Vader then confesses that Luke was right about him, and he dies as Anakin Skywalker. He died a peaceful death, having fulfilled the prophecy of the Chosen One and brought balance to the Force. And so Luke then burned his father's body on a funeral pyre on Endor, but then the whole galaxy celebrated the end of the Empire and freedom of the galaxy. And of course, the Rebel Alliance would go on to restore the Galactic Republic, and Luke was then seen off by the spirits of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. And so that basically comes the original trilogy full circle. And what a way to end off the original trilogy. What a way to end it off. Episode 6 is my favourite installment in the original trilogy, mainly because it was just such an epic scale. It was so good. The performances from all the actors, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, James Earl Jones, everyone, they were fantastic. They really gave it their all for this final installment in the original trilogy. And the fact that it all worked out and the Empire was beaten and freedom was restored, that's a perfect way to end it off. It was just fantastic. So if you guys want an amazing, an epic scale Star Wars movie, do yourself a favour and watch Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, which celebrates its 40th anniversary this year. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all enjoyed this year's Star Wars month. I will see you very soon for the next video, and may the Force be with us all. Take care.